There's girly magazines up there. They don't care about stuff like that. You want to look at Playboy? Don't care. You want to look at porn videos? Don't care. So he had some porn videos up there. He had some magazines up there, brought everything down. But there were some videos too he had up there that didn't have any name or anything like that on it. But I could tell, like, okay, by the name of the video, this is a porn. But it didn't let me know what type of porn it was. So I popped them into the VCR. And what comes on screen is a man in a shower with no clothes on, rubbing soap all over his body, and then this other man behind him. No heterosexual man is going to be watching videos like that. Not at all. So all of this stuff is starting to come back to me. What my sister's friends said, years ago. All these different gay guys popping up. This guy, Fred. You would think, like, girl, run, run. But I'm like, okay, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt to explain himself when he gets home. What's the stuff? And at this time, this was like the end of 2003. And he came home, and I was like, I found all this stuff. What is going on? Yelling at me, screaming at me, why are you at my job? Searching in the closet. Why are you looking around the house? It was like he was blaming me for everything. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And it's like, no, why do you have this stuff? He was so I came out and asked him if he was the F word that people would call a man that's gay. You would think it was World War III. This is when the man put his hands on me.
So wait, let me back you up for a second. It was not him in the shower video. It was just two men.
Just two men. Okay. Yeah. Not if it was him, I would have been left. No, it was not just him. It wasn't him. It was two guys. So I after all those years of him, putting his last time he put his hands on me when he, stamped on my hand after taking the ring. So at this time, this is probably like 3 years later, he was so mad with me because I called him the F word. And I mean, I think if it was a guy who wasn't guilty of anything, looking back now, he wouldn't probably even got that mad. He probably been like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not like that. No, he got so angry. He took we was in our dining room, and he took the dining room chair and smashed it over me. Yeah. Smashed the dining room chair over me. Felt like my whole body was on fire. He left me. Yeah, he left me right there on the dining room floor, crying, hurt. I mean, he really went in there and took a shower and stepped right over me and proceeded to go put his night clothes on and got into bed.
No, are you okay? No, I'm sorry. Just cold and callous, walks away.
Yes. And it took me probably like maybe a good hour to finally get myself up off that floor. And I knew something wasn't right. Like I said, my whole body was on fire. It felt like it was on fire. Next day I went to the emergency room, and I had a contusion to my neck and my back. Yeah, black and blue. Of course, the doctors and nurses asking me, like, what happened? Are you safe at home? I lied and said, oh, it was winter time at this time. I slipped on some ice and fell out in front of my house. But I can tell, they kind of looking at me like, She's lying. They asked me again, are you sure? I said, I'm sure. So they, did their x-rays and all that stuff. I was released. At this time I was a loan officer, so I'm sitting down on my butt all day. So I couldn't even sit down. Like, I could not sit down. I had to lay on my side so I could not go to work. So I called in, sick, took some sick days off. Like I said, I could not sit down at all on my butt. I had to lay on my side. At this
So
time,
he doesn't go to the hospital with you. He's still like whatever, girl.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I hid all this from my parents, my sister. Like I said, no one knew. And from that day forward, the hitting became frequent now. And he will always hit me in places where no one would see it. Like, he never hit me like in my face. He would punch me in my arm. One time he punched me in my back so hard because again, there was some allegations of him messing around with somebody. And it is just crazy. So by this time, we're going into 2005. And his he said that it was his birthday. It was his birthday. I'm gonna back up. It was his birthday. I did, like, I cooked out. He was like, well, I'm gonna go down to the bar. I'll be back. I said, well, make sure you be back about 7 o'clock. Everything should be done. So he leaves around the house around noon, say he was going to stop past his mom's house, stop past his cousin's house and all this stuff and go to the bar. So I'm running around, the mall, getting him his gift, going to this bakery, picking up his cake, all this stuff. Decorated the house, it's just going to be me, him and I, but this is what I do, for my man. 7 o'clock come, no Calvin. Calls his mom. His mom was like, yeah, he stopped past around 2 o'clock, but he just came in. I gave him a gift. He left. Called his cousin. His cousin was like, he came past, drank a couple beers. He been gone. 8 o'clock, 9, 12, 2. He rolls in the house at 4 a.m. Where have you been? Don't ask me where I've been. That's what he told me. I'm a grown man. I do what I want to do. So I said, okay, whatever. He goes in there and takes a shower. Okay, you coming in here taking a shower, So I'm like going through his pants pockets and smelling his shirt. And I'm sitting there like, this smells like perfume, like, where have you been? Now if he went to a strip club or something like that, don't care. Just say that's where you was at. Don't care about you going to a strip club. But I'm like, we know it wasn't a strip club. So he got mad with me because I was going through his pockets and I smelled his shirt. So I'm walking towards our bedroom and I'm hearing running. It's him running up behind me, and he just punched me straight dead in my back. And I mean hard. And at this time, like, I was like running also from him, like, so he's running and I'm running. And he punched me in my back. So this time, besides me, him last time giving me a contusion to my neck and back, this time I go to a hospital and I have a fractured foot. So I'm on crutches for like 2 weeks. Long and behold, find out that he was at some woman's house who he had just met like 2 days prior. And she told me everything he did to her. And you just met this woman 2 weeks ago. And you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing with somebody you met 2 weeks ago. And by him doing at this time too, I went to go get my PAP, my yearly PAP. Go there like that. I want to say I went there on like a Friday or a Monday. By that Thursday, my doctor's office was calling me, telling me that I had an STD. They was like, you have chlamydia. And is
Now,
there
did you think or you were just doing a checkup?
No, just during my regular yearly pap, because I'm one of those women. I go to my yearly pap, get my pap done, and yeah, they was like, you have doctor's office call. All these years, doctor's office never call me. Like, you have chlamydia. Is there a place where a pharmacy that we can call in your prescription? Yeah. So when he comes home, I tell him this, and he's like, "You didn't get it from me." It was like, this is what he said. He said, "Who you been sleeping with?"
Knowing that you've caught him, he blames you.
Yes. Projecting, most definitely projecting. Yes. Yes. Couldn't get it out. Yes. And he said, "Well, I'm gonna go down to the ER." He goes down to the ER and he said, "Oh, they told me I don't have anything." You just can't go to the ER and get a test right then and there and they tell you that you don't have STD. This is 2005. You can do that now. You can't do that back in 2005. They have to send that to a laboratory for you to get this information back. And when I read his the thing, it was, he told the ER doctor that his wife contracted this STD. So naturally, they're like, okay, if y'all intimate, we're going to give you a prescription too.
Yeah.
So it's like, just quit playing these games with me. So we're into, this is still all 2005. So one day I go to work. I come back home. Well, you know something, we went back up. This 2004. I go to work. I come home. Every time I come in from work, I do the same routine. Take my clothes off, get in the shower, get out the shower, go into the closet, get my long, kick around clothes, and start making dinner. When I opened up our cupboard, all his clothes was gone. Everything gone. Yeah, everything. Fitted, tennis shoes. Yeah, everything gone. This bill comes in. It is just crazy how all this just worked out. Get the mail. This is singular bill. We don't have singular as our phone provider at this time. This is when cell phones really starting to get. We didn't have singular. So I'm looking at this bill like there's two phones. I know he don't have singular. I don't have singular. So what's going on? And like I said, I get those intuitions. I go into the other closet. He still had like some clothes there, like leather coats and things like that. And I picked up his one leather coat. Now, this leather coat was a heavy jacket, but it wasn't that damn heavy. So I started feeling in the pockets and I felt something. And I was like, there's something in here. This man cut a slit into his leather jacket lining and hid the phone in there. Yeah.
So the bill came to your house, or he brought the bill into the house and you found it?
No, the bill was mailed to the house. I guess maybe I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Maybe when they did his credit check or something, they just automatically sent the bill to our home. I know when I called the phone, I turned that phone on, that one number rung for that phone. When I called the other number, a woman answered the phone. Asked her, "Do you know Calvin?" "Yeah, I know Calvin. That's my man." "That's your man." I'm engaged to this man. At this time, I was with him for like almost 6 years, I think, at this time. 5.5, 6 years at this time. I was like, I've been with this man for 5.5, 6 years. What are you talking about? He's at work right now, but so I'm like, oh, this must be where he's been staying at. So she told me, where she lived at and everything. And I ended up calling my dad. Calvin was at work. And I asked my dad, like, what car did he drive today? Because this woman is telling me that she's driving his Lexus. So how did he get to work? My dad was like, well, he was driving this white Envoy today. And I asked him who truck this was. And he told me it was his cousin's. It was the woman's truck. He traded cars with her, let her drive the Lexus, and he was driving the truck. Like I said, this woman told me where she lived at. She lived in Section 8 housing. I know it's Section 8 housing because this area where the place was at, Section 8 housing, with her 3 kids. So I go down there. I put all the rest of his clothes in a bag, drove down there, and I put all of his stuff out there on her porch. And the neighborhood guys were out there playing craps. And I told them, they're laughing because they know what's going on. I said, well, they was like, oh, you doing him like that? Yeah, I am. I was like, there's some nice stuff in there too. Maybe y'all want to go through those bags before, he gets to them. Some Jordans in there, just some fitteds in there. And I got back in the car and drove off. And of course, he comes to the house next day yelling, screaming, why are you doing this? Why you come down there? Like I said, he always blaming me for everything. So I'm going to fast forward to, that was like in July. He stayed gone. So October, he calls me. I'm in the middle of the night. Probably was like 1 o'clock in the morning crying. Telling me that he's about to jump off the 6th Street bridge. We live in Pittsburgh, okay? So this bridge is everywhere. So he's like, I'm about to jump off the 6th Street bridge. And I'm like, if you was going to commit suicide, you would not be calling me right now. And I hung up on him. He called me back and was like, I'm going to do it. I said, okay, go ahead and do it. I don't care any longer. He was like, I'm coming to the house. I said, whatever, because I didn't change the locks or anything. Comes to the house. Found out that she put him out of her house because her kid's dad now came home from jail and he was released to her. So she put him out and moved him in. At this time, he was back in the house, and I was talking to this guy, but just only as a friend, not no one I was messing with. Like the guy, I kind of sort of knew him because we went to high school together, but he was like 3 grades under me or whatever. And he lived like catty corner with his mom and his sisters from us. So we became friends and stuff. And I would like, he became a person who I was able to vent to. Like, I didn't tell anybody else what was going on, but he knew of some of the things that was going on. So his mom, he like would always take his mom to go play her numbers at this one store. And he calls me and was like, you would not believe who I'm looking at right now. And I was like, who? He was like, I'm looking at Kelvin. And his mom is like, tell her, she needs to know this. She needs to know this. Tell her now. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And before I know it, his mom is on the phone. So I'm going to call him Vince, because that's the name I believe I gave him in the book too, Vince. So Vince's mom gets on the phone and she's like, baby, I was going into the store and to play my numbers, and I saw this nice, handsome guy sitting in the car, and I was wondering why he was sitting in the car with Gay Andy. Who's Gay Andy? Who's that? Who's that? Who are we talking about here? I'm confused. She was like, he's a neighborhood guy in this particular area. Everyone knows. And that's the name they call him. That's not the name they call him, but this is what I'm calling him, because this is what I'm calling him in my book. So Gay Andy was the neighborhood gay guy in this area that everyone knows. And he dressed sometimes as a gay man, and sometimes he dressed as a transsexual with a wig, makeup, and everything. he's in the car with Calvin. And they seeing him get out the passenger side, go around this broad daylight. This is summertime, broad daylight, like around lunchtime, 1 o'clock in the afternoon when he should have been at work. He goes around. They say Gay Andy proceeded to get out the passenger side, go around to the driver's side, and kissing him, French kissing him in the mouth. This Vince didn't have no reason to lie, and we know Vince's mama did not have no damn reason to lie. And I said, well, and where they were at, I was like, okay, I can sprint up there in 5 minutes. I was like, I'm like really putting my tennis shoes on, like I'm going up by the KFC. I'm going up there now. And Vince, like, don't even come. He's driving off and all this stuff. So Vince, later on that day, I told Vince, like, you want to show me where this guy lives at? So he showed me where Gay Andy lived at. Gay Andy lived underneath the store where his mom played her numbers at. There was like an apartment underneath the store. So I'm sitting there like, okay, I know where this guy lives at. And my mom, she's one of those people, like I told you, I didn't tell my parents what was going on, but I did kind of tell my parents, like, oh, I think he's messing around with, some woman or something like that. Like they didn't know anything about the abuse at all, but they knew, like, okay, he might be cheating. I call my mom. My mom is one of those mothers, ride or die. Like, you call her and you like, oh, I need you to come because of this. She's with the shit. So she's like, I'm on my way. So I told her, like, look, Mom, Vince told me that it was this gay guy he was kissing. My mom said, gay guy. She's like, I'm thinking you talking about a woman. I said, no, Mom, a gay man. And my mom's like, well, I'm gonna back up real quick. A week before that, Vince and I was in the drugstore down the street from our house getting stuff. And he was like, Gay Andy's is in the other aisle. That's him right there. Now, like I said, they said he dressed in drag sometimes like a woman. So when I was in the store, we walked right past and I didn't even know because I wasn't paying attention like that. So Vince waited until we got on the other aisle, was like, that's Gay Andy over there. So I go into the other aisle just playing like I'm, looking for something. I'm looking like, this is what he was kissing in broad daylight. This is what this is what he's doing. This man had on this bob cut wig, 5 o'clock shadow with makeup on, lipstick, fingernails done, skinny as ever. Like, skinny when somebody wear like jeans and the jeans is hanging off their butt because it don't fit their butt. It's sagging right there. He had on these little hip hugger jeans with these platforms on, with a purse, a dirty purse at that. And I'm just looking like, if you're going to sit there and mess around with with a man, a transsexual like that, you could got a better looking one than this. Like, you could clearly look at this person and tell this is a man. 5 o'clock shadow off. So I'm like, oh, wow, crazy. So we go back to my mom. So my mom and I, we're at the guy's house. Well, I'm going to back up. Calvin, my mom was driving to our house and seeing Calvin walking. And he was walking from that way. So my mom's like, what are you walking? Like, where are you going? And he's like, I'm going to the house. My mom was like, well, why are you walking? And why are you walking from this way? So my mom didn't even ask him if he wanted to get in a car or anything. She just came to the house. She blew the horn. I got out. She's like, yeah, he was walking down the street. By the time we get up there where she saw him walking, he's nowhere in sight. So I showed my mom, like, that's where the guy lives at. It's probably like midnight. My mom didn't care. My mom knocks on the door. I'm like, my mom told me to stay in the car, so I'm on the passenger side. My mom knocks on the door, and like from the passenger side, it was like the sidewalk, and then like a steps going down. And I can see the door, so she's knocking on the door, and the guy comes to the door, and my mom like introduced herself and was like, do you know Calvin, my son-in-law Calvin? And he was like, yeah, I know him. So my mom's like, well, how do you know him? Because that's his wife right there in the car. That's my daughter. This man, sassy as he want to be, he told it all. He told my mom, like, yeah, I mean, the stuff was real. He was like, yeah, he be ramming, yeah, me, and I be sucking, and yeah, I mean, he was in details of what Kelvin would do to him and what he would do with Kelvin. And my mom and I was just like, what the hell's going on here? So Kelvin goes back down again. He take all his clothes and go back down to that woman's house, because now she had kicked the baby daddy out, who came from jail, and moved Kelvin back in. So by this time, when Kelvin moved out this time, I was just done. I called the locksmith, come and change the locks on the door. I changed the code on the garage. He's not getting back in here. Don't come back here. I took over all the bills on my own. At this time, I was in college, getting my master's at this time. So, and this is the kicker. Besides him messing around with all these different women, messing around with men too, this this huge brown envelope comes in the mail, and it said Family Court Division. Why is this coming here? Remember I told you he had 2 kids, son and daughter. Met them. We went out to dinner. We went to the movies before. His son even had to come and stay with us. I didn't go into that. His son had to come and stay with us because his mom, he found his mom, him and his brother came home from school and found the mom in the bed dead. Yeah, blood coming out her mouth and everything. Still to this day, they had suspicions that her boyfriend did it, but there was no evidence. Even when they did the autopsy, there was like no evidence of anything. So it was her death been undetermined still to this day, and been over 20 years now, and it's undetermined. Never knew what happened fully to her. So his son had to come and stay with us for a little bit, and then since he didn't want to be a dad and thought I was supposed to just go into this mommy role when I'm in school and working, he took his son to his mom's house instead of stepping up and being a dad and staying at home taking care of his son. Sent his son to his mom's house to stay. Yeah. But back to the envelope. Open this thing up, and there's all these papers, and I'm reading all these papers, and I'm going through all these papers. There were DNA tests for multiple kids. All these women were suing him for child support. And as I'm going through all the papers, 99.99%, 99.99%, 99.99%. So besides the 2 kids I knew about, there were 6 other ones that he never told about. So he had 8 kids by 8 different women. Never knew about any of these kids. And I remember, and then it's like thinking back, I remember one time his son came to the house. this was the one, you know, who was living with us. He came to the house with this little girl, but they were outside. And I remember Calvin went outside, but I was just looking out the window. And I'm looking like, this little girl looks like him, you know, like this little girl looked like the eyes was like a dead giveaway. Cause like once I did see all of these kids, you know, later in life, like, yeah, all of them look like him. They all got them eyes and those lips. And I was just like, wow, that was his daughter. So, and wow, that's the same little girl I seen at a cookout before. So his mom, sister, aunts, uncles, everyone knew this. So I'm the laughing stock because everybody knew what was going on except for me. So even his mother, yeah, his mom ended up not liking me anyway. Like she did not like me. She felt that I thought I was like stuck up and conceited. She thought like I was prissy. So she didn't care for me, not at all, period. She didn't like me. Even to one time that his sister wanted to fight me. And my sister was going to, like, he brought his sister to like my parents' house. And this was like before we moved in together though. And my sister was about to pick up like an ashtray and like, yeah, smash her in the head with it. Yeah. So like everyone knew what was going on except for me. So I'm at his family cookouts. I'm around these people, and come to find out some of those kids that was there that I thought were like cousins, no, they were his kids. So them kids was around me multiple times, and yeah, no one said nothing. And the sad thing about it was, when I look back at it, none of those kids ever said dad to him, except like, you know, the ones I knew was,
yeah.
The other ones didn't say dad. I don't know if they told them not to say dad when I was around or something, but I do not remember them kids calling him dad at any of those. And I mean, I was at probably like maybe a good 2-3 cookouts where them kids was, there was like some of his kids was there, and no one
and none of the moms were there, I'm guessing.
No, none of the moms was there. I did come in contact with one of the mothers years later. This is years later, probably like maybe a good 3 years after him and I was no longer together. And this woman tried to fight me. Like, what are you trying to fight me for? I'm no longer even with this man. And she was like, oh, because he said the reason why he wasn't taking care of his son was because of you. I mean, taking care of his his son. He had a son with her because of his son, and this son had like a he was kind of he disformed. I'm gonna just say disformed like that.
So he had the baby while he was with you?
No.
Oh, before you?
Yeah, before me.
Okay.
This is one of the ones before me. But
Okay.
see, there is one. There's a possible. I don't know now because I could care less. But there was a possible that somebody said that he did have a kid while he was with me. I don't know how true that is because, like I said, at that point, it's like, what do I care for?
Yeah.
What do I really care? But yeah, it was like at by this time, after I found out about the DNA test and all these kids was his, this when like everything was coming out. You know, that the one guy who I thought was just a friend of his, that he would always go over his house and supposed to be playing, you know, poker with. Come to find out he was messing with that man. And this was a man who I actually was like around. Like, this guy didn't give off no gay vibes or anything like that. Like, this guy was like nice looking guy. You know, he had women around him as well. Like I say, he was a really nice looking guy. So he had women around. Never thought that he was gay or bisexual or whatever the hell he want to call himself. Yeah, but found out he was messing with him too. So by this time, like 2015, I'm no longer with him. Like him and I, um, we broke up officially May 1st, 2006. Yeah. And that day, I remember that day because at this time we sold the house, and that was another thing that he did as well. That was crazy because at this time he still owed me some money now because they sent the check to his bank account of the sale of the house. He never gave me my half. Never gave me the. And on top of that, when we were moving out, this is how hateful and evil he was. When we were moving out, he sat there and made sure I wouldn't be able to take the bed with me. He sat there and broke the wood on the box springs so I couldn't even take the box springs or anything. Like he broke, yeah, there was times over the years, there was times that he vandalized a lot of my clothes. There was times I came home, he slit jeans, he bleached jeans. I had a basketball I had got. He put a hole in it. Yeah, he done I mean just a lot of hateful things he did to me when we were together. And just looking back at everything, like I said, there was all these red flags there, and I just kept giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I kept believing some of the things he was telling me. Like, of course, there's a lot more that's in the book. But I didn't want to sit up here and be taking up a whole bunch of time. But like I wanted to get like the main points out. And there were signs there. There was definitely signs there. And like on the platform that we were on, how we met, a lot of the people on there was asking, well, what was the red flags? How you did not, there was red flags there. I
You
just
were
ignored the red
young.
flags.
And you were really young. I don't know that at 19, 20, 21, I would have, you know.
Exactly. And I stayed with that man from 19 to 25 years old. Yeah. And it was just like really crazy because there was so many red flags. Like I wasn't trying to, like, I'm one of those people, like, I don't believe what other people, tell me. But when multiple people is saying that the person is gay, believe it. And then even looking back at him, and I can see there were signs there.
That's what I was gonna ask. Did he have any mannerisms that? But
Yes.
again, we're. It sounds like we're
Yes.
about the same age. I don't know that at 19 I would have, unless he was like flamboyant. I
Right.
don't know if I would have, because like there was people in high school that I was like, oh, he is definitely. But there's
Exactly.
also people that 25 years out of high
Yep.
school that are gay now that I had no idea then.
Me too. And there's,
So,
yep. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, there's guys and girls I know from high
hmm
school. And I was like, I didn't know that. And I'm
yeah.
like,
So that's, I'm like, I don't know that I would have unless he was just like, and I'll use, I went to school with a guy named Brad. Brad always been like, it was no question.
right.
He didn't hide it in school and he don't hide it now. I love me some Brad.
Right.
Unless he was like Brad, I wouldn't have known.
Yep, exactly. There's this guy who's like that too. When we was in high school, he was like that. I went to a wedding 3 years ago. He was at the bachelorette party, and he's even more wild now than he was back then. But I love him because he's fun.
Yeah.
He always been who he's like. This is me.
Yep.
Either you
That's why I
love me or
love
you don't
Brad.
love me.
Brad has
And
always been himself.
right. And I have respect for people like that. And I'm gonna bring one thing up too, which was the biggest red. This was like the biggest red flag too, and this should have been like, okay, it's over. I took him to my uncle's wife's house, my aunt through marriage, and her nephew, who is gay, was living with her. So she was like, oh, your cousin's here. We're going to introduce him to Calvin. So when he comes upstairs, he's like, hey, but he had this look on his face. Like, so later on that night, my aunt called me and was like, your cousin knows him. What you mean he knows him? He was like, he knows him from hanging at this gay bar. What the hell you mean he knows him from hanging out? What gay bar? She's like, the Flamingo. I was like, the Flamingo? Where the hell is that at? Like, where the hell is that at?
So he's not even really hiding. He's in plain sight. Wow. So when you ended it, just to close the story, how did you end it?
Well, like I said, he left again and went back with that lady. And we decided to sell the house. And I got a U-Haul, got all my stuff. I told my parents, like, I want to move back in, with you guys until, I get my own place or whatever. My dad got a U-Haul, came down there, helped me move everything. And I remember crying. I was crying my eyes out that day because I'm sitting there like, it was like sadness and happiness at the same time. But yeah, when I drove off, I never looked back again. And in 2015, as I was going to say, my dad had to get open heart surgery. Somehow Calvin found out about it. And he called my dad's hospital room. And him and I, at this time, I'm engaged to somebody else. I have a son at this time. I was in a stable, healthy relationship. Like never put his hands on me at all. Never talked to me crazy, nothing like that. And I just needed closure from this. So I asked him, I remember going into the bathroom of my dad's hospital room. And I said, because I was seeing like on Facebook where my sister was like, yeah, he putting stuff out while he want to commit suicide and all this stuff. And I told him, I said, if you live in your truth, you might wouldn't feel the way you feel. And I was like, can you be honest with me now? It's years later now. Can you be honest with me so I can just get this closure? I said, are you gay or not? He was like, I'm not gay, but I'm bisexual. I said, why you didn't tell the truth? Why you didn't tell me the truth? And he's like, you probably wouldn't want to mess with me. Yeah, but you should give me that chance.
Yeah, you took
to make that decision. Right. If I wanted to mess with you or not. Like, you had me messing with you and you was sleeping with men too. I was like, do you know how that make me feel now? Like, I'm laying in the bed with you. I had sex with you. I'm kissing you and all this stuff. And knowing that, not that you just was with other women, but you was with with men, like multiple men. Yeah. So he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, and try to apologize and everything like that. Last time I came across him was 2017. I was in our grocery store and I heard somebody call my name. Anybody who say my full government name, Rosemary, I'm like, this is somebody from back in the day. And then I knew the voice and I knew it was him. And it was his birthday. And I was like, oh, happy birthday. I know it's your birthday today. He was like, yeah, I'm coming down here to get cupcakes for to take to my coworkers or whatever. And he asked me like, oh, how you been doing? I'm doing good. He was like, oh, I see that you have a beautiful family and things like that. I was like, yup. And he was like, I still think about you. I still love you. And I wish I never did those things to you. And I was like, it don't even matter now, but take care of yourself. That was the last time I ever came across him, was 2017.
Oh wow. So of all, thank you for sharing your story.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so very much. Because I reached out to her. I think it was in, I don't know if it was a shade room or something. I saw her comment and it was like, hey, I have this podcast. Because I've only known two people that have been on here. Everybody else either found me because they saw like somebody share something,
Right.
or when I first started the podcast last month, my clips were on the For You page. So keep people
Oh,
were seeing those and reaching out to
yeah.
me. So that's how I got most people. If you want to be a guest, I'm still looking. But anyway, but thank you so much for coming on. I guess my giveaway takeaway from this: living your truth. Don't
Yeah,
take
living
the
your truth.
choice from someone
Yes.
of if they want, because there are women that do not mind. They don't care, you
Yes,
know.
exactly.
But
And
if
I would
you
say one thing too, to the women out there, be cautious and really get to know the person. And if someone tell you something, kind of look a little bit more into it. Because we know some people can be messy, but
absolutely,
look into it because some signs be there and we just sometimes we don't see those signs. And
I've always felt this way, male or female. If there's a
yeah.
gay rumor, there's a reason.
Oh yeah.
So invest, because that's not something people like a sane person lightly throws around. So if you
Yes.
tell me a guy I'm dating, I'm looking into it.
Most
He going
definitely.
at this point now. It's on him to prove to me that he's not, because
Yes.
that is not something, unless I know this person just hateful, that type of person. But if it's somebody that I don't know, and like in your situation, somebody was like, "Hey, did you know?" I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah. And with
Before I
multiple
even ask
people.
you, I'm gonna do my own research. And if
Yeah.
those friends around you are looking, are flamboyant, then we probably not gonna date, because I've heard
Yeah.
this and now I see this.
Yeah.
And
But if
again,
everybody
in my
like this,
20s,
yeah, yeah. I know I was young and naive. And I mean, I'm still in therapy now. I have gone through therapy. Like I said, I'm
oh,
able to talk
good.
about this now because I did go through therapy. And with that part of what I went through, I'm healed from it because now I can talk about it without crying. And a friend of mine, he told me, he was like, once you get to that point where you can talk about it without crying, you heal from it. And it was the same way when I wrote the book. I was able to read my book. Like I had to read, I mean, multiple times where to like, I kind of separated myself from it. Like it wasn't me. And I can read my book now without crying. And if y'all like this chapter of the book, make sure y'all get the whole book. Like I said, it should be coming out next year. And like I said, it's called Shatter, Picking Up the Pieces.
Well, anything else other than about your book that you want anyone to know before we close out?
Um, it's going to be a good book. Put it like that. It's going to be like I said, it's a memoir about my whole life. This what I spoke about today is one of the chapters in the book. But there's other chapters in there with other men who I have dated, and them stories in there too, where there is like things where I'm talking about where there was sexual assault, molestation. So yeah, the book is going to be good. And like I said, I sat on this book, been done for 2 years now. And I sat on this book and I just asked God like 2 weeks ago, like, give me a sign on if I should bring this book out or not. Cause I was like on the fence about it. And definitely me coming onto that platform I met you on, just sharing, that little comment there, and then you reaching out to me, I was like, this is the sign right here. God want me to bring that book out.
Yep.
this is
Yep.
my this is my sign, and I don't think I could get a bigger sign than this. So yeah, the book will definitely be coming out. I'm in the process right now, speaking to the people who's going to publish the book, and also the person who's going to like do the cover of the book and everything. So be looking out for it. It'll
I'll
be out.
definitely be looking, and I'll definitely support anybody who's had any product on here I've purchased, or so I'll definitely purchase, because I appreciate your time. So
yes, I most definitely let you know when it comes out too.
please do.
I
So
most
again,
definitely
thank you,
will.
thank you, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I'm going to take you off screen and I'll close out
Okay.
the episode. You have a great evening,
You as well.
and
Thank
I
you.
wish you success beyond anything you can imagine once your
And
book is released.
you as well with your podcast.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of Nightmare on X Street where women are courageous and just kind enough to share their story with me and you. I appreciate every woman that comes on and shares their story. As always, I like to let everyone know if you're in a crisis situation and you need therapy, you can dial 988 on your mobile device. That will connect you with someone who can get you a therapist in one of the 50 states. They'll give you one free session, and from there, they'll connect you with someone in your area that can assist you further with your therapy journey. If you're in a situation right now where you're in immediate danger, please do not hesitate to reach out to your loved ones and call 911 to get the help you need to get to safety. I will see you all next time on the next episode of Nightmare on X Street. I am your host, Andromeda Jones.